It's been almost a year, man. We've been doing this show for almost a year, but they finally got me. What's good, family? It's your boy Sykes, and you are looking live at another episode of Special Delivery, where today, man, they really got me unboxing some Yeezy on this set today, man. We are taking a look at the new Yeezy 700 MNVN in this Honey Flux colorway. And I gotta tell you, I don't really know how I feel about this shoe, man. It's just something about it that just hasn't really quite vibed with me just yet. And look, y'all know I don't have the greatest relationship with Kanye and Yeezy. Like, bruh's been wilding since he dropped Yeezus. Like, what do you expect from me? But at the same time, I am a fan of the 700 silhouette. Like, I'm a big fan of the Wave Runner, and even the V2s are pretty good. But there's something about these that I just haven't been able to quite get with yet. And maybe I'll figure out what that is during this show. But even though I'm not the biggest fan of these, I do have to acknowledge that they exist for a pretty good reason. And that's what we're going to dive into on today's show. But before we get into it, you know what it is. We got to unbox these, so let's do it. All right, let's see what Ye talking about, man. Okay, so it's a wrapped up nice. All right. Okay. This is a solid color, I will say, but this is just a completely different shoe than what we're used to in the 700. So on the 700 and the 700 V2, you get all of these suedes, these leathers, this mesh material, 3M. Up on this upper right here, you just got this polyester material. It feels like some swimming trunks or like a jacket or something like that. It's really weird. To not only see on this shoe, but to feel it like this. It's a really interesting touch to this joint. And then you go down to this toe box right here. You see these are actually heat glued on. There's no stitching on this shoe whatsoever, which is a pretty neat detail in my opinion on this sneaker. And then you got that classic 3M touch that you have on every 700, every version of the shoe. But I think this on the MNVN is actually the most pronounced because you got this big old 700 right here on the side of the shoe. You got some more down here in that toe area. Then you even got some more back here on the heel right here, which is pretty cool. But the coolest detail on this sneaker to me, it's this lacing system right here. This is actually a bungee cord, not sneaker laces. And you can pull these, adjust for comfort in whatever way you want to, which I think is a pretty interesting detail, something that we haven't seen on the 700 before. So that's pretty interesting, but this is still a really weird shoe to me. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, there's some days where I'm just like, yo, there are some pretty good 700 MNVNs out there. Like, they're good colors. It just pops out. It makes sense. And then there are other days where I'm like, yo, Ye, you should really just throw these sneakers in the trash, bro. Like, what is going on with these joints? It's so weird. But in between all of those days, though, I always have to acknowledge that this shoe exists for a pretty good reason. And that reason is to get Yeezy to everybody. Let's talk about that. The 700 is an amazing sneaker. I mean, it checks every box you could possibly want to check for a shoe, from the aesthetics to the design to the materials and the quality and detail on those materials. The shoes are just amazing, but there is one big problem with them though. They just cost way too much. Both the 700 and the 700 V2 originally retailed at $300. $300, y'all, that is a retail price. That's a lot of money, even if you're not a broke boy like myself. And while the shoes are good, that poses a problem because they can no longer fit snugly into the ultimate vision that Kanye West has for Yeezy. So Kanye always talks about Yeezy with this sort of mass market strategy in mind, and he always compares them to McDonald's and Apple. You know how everybody has an iPhone, or everybody can pull up to their local McDonald's and cop a Big Mac or a Happy Meal. He wants you to be able to pull up to a Yeezy department store and buy whatever sneakers or clothes you want out of that store. But the thing is, you can't really do that with a $300 sneaker. Like, it don't quite work that way, Kanye, I'm sorry. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is actually where the 700 MNVN comes into play. So these things retail for $220, and you get that $80 chop off because this uses different materials on the upper. It uses this polyester material, where the other two have all of these suedes and leathers and mesh and 3M on the upper. And when you add all of those materials together on one single shoe, it's going to get expensive. This shoe saves some people money and makes this a little bit more attainable for them. And look, no, you're not gonna get that same high quality sneaker that you would get with the other two 700s, but a lot of people don't really care about that. Like, unless you're a sneaker nerd like myself, that's not really gonna move you. You only really wanna be a part of this 700 wave, and this shoe allows people to do that. So while I don't really vibe with this thing like that, it's like this for a really good reason. This is a sneaker for the people, and I love that, I gotta say. Sneaker culture is always better when it's a culture of inclusion, but to be honest with y'all, we don't have enough of that these days. I mean, think about it. There are a lot of people who get priced out of this stuff because of gaudy retail and resale prices. And a lot of times the people who are priced out are the black and brown folks who really made this sneaker culture pop and made it into what it is. So yeah, anytime I see somebody making a sneaker more attainable or more accessible for folks with a different version of it, I'm going to applaud that. And look, don't get me wrong, $220, it's not the cheapest shoe in the world still, but it's definitely not $300, I can tell you that. And it makes it a little bit easier for that kid who was mowing lawns all summer trying to save up for one pair of Yeezys to actually buy this pair. Makes it a little bit easier for that mom who was trying to figure out what to get her young sneakerhead for this holiday season. While I'm not in love with these shoes right here, I am in love with that concept. That's what this stuff is all about. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for Special Delivery. I'm your boy Sykes, and this is Yeezy 700 MNVN. We'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Special Delivery. Make sure you like and subscribe to catch future episodes of Special Delivery, and let me know how y'all feel about this more accessible version of the 700. Do you think that the 700 is going in the right direction? Let us know in the comments.